What if I told you that every single day, the people all around you are basically screaming their deepest secrets? Yeah, not with their words, but through their tone of voice, the look in their eyes, and the patterns they just can't help but repeat. This isn't about cheap body language tricks. This is a system for understanding what people are really saying. By the end of this, you won't just see through their masks, you'll probably understand your own a whole lot better too.
Okay, so let's just dive right into it with this quote, which I know it can feel a little jarring at first, but this idea is really the key to everything we're about to unpack. We all build a character, right? A kind of persona to get by in the world, and so does everybody else.
So what are these masks really? Well, think about it. From the time we're little kids, we learn pretty fast what gets us love and what gets us rejected. So we become whatever works. We become the funny one, or the smart one, or the tough one. But here's what's so important to get. These masks aren't about trying to fool people. At their core, they're just a form of protection.
And just look at this contrast. So often, the character we show the world is the complete opposite of who we are underneath. You know that person who's always cracking jokes? They might be carrying the heaviest sadness. The one who seems totally unshakable? They could be just one wrong comment away from completely falling apart. This isn't about being fake, not at all. It's just what it means to be human.
But here's the thing. No performance is ever perfect. The truth always has a way of leaking out through the little cracks in the mask. So let's look at some of the specific, tangible behaviors that start to reveal the real person hiding just underneath the surface.
Okay, pay really close attention to what people judge the most harshly in other people. Seriously, when you hear someone going on and on about how fake everyone is, what they're really doing is confessing their own terror that they aren't authentic. Every single criticism is a confession. They're not just judging other people, they're judging what they can't face in themselves.
And what about that person who seems to have it all together? You know, the one who just never, ever makes a mistake? Well, perfectionism isn't strength. It's just fear in a really nice outfit. It's a deep-seated terror of being rejected. They've sculpted themselves into what they think the world wants because deep down, they're covering up a wound about whether they're good enough. Real strength, it can look a little messy sometimes.
These behaviors, on the surface, they might look like confidence, but they're often the exact opposite. The loudest person in the room? Yeah, they're usually the one who feels the most unheard. That constant boasting is often just a bandage over a feeling of being small. A desperate need to control everything on the outside? That usually comes from feeling total chaos on the inside. And even being too nice can be a performance, driven more by a fear of being disliked than by genuine kindness.
So, okay, we've seen what people do. But now we get to the most important question of all, why? Why do we do these things? And the answer, almost always, lies in the past. It's in the echoes of old wounds that are, believe it or not, still making decisions for us today.
Let's just pause right here for a second. As we're talking about all this, it's pretty natural to start seeing yourself in these patterns. So I just want to ask you, directly, which mask do you think you wear the most? If you feel comfortable, share it in the comments. You never know. It might just help someone else feel a little less alone in their own performance.
This right here, this is probably the most crucial piece of the puzzle. No matter how old someone is, how successful they seem, there's a part of them that is still that little kid who got hurt, who felt scared, who learned the world wasn't always safe. And that kid is often the one calling the shots. That adult who just can't trust anyone, probably a kid who was betrayed, the one who needs constant attention, a child who felt invisible.
And this cycle really shows how that inner child can keep us stuck. People don't keep getting into the same toxic relationships or work drama because of bad luck. They're not consciously choosing it. Their unhealed wounds are choosing for them, trying over and over again to finally fix a pain from the past.
And this is why our big emotional reactions are like clues. What looks like anger, so often it's just sadness that feels way too vulnerable to show, so it puts on armor. That defensiveness, it's not really about what you just said. It's scar tissue over an old injury flaring up. And jealousy is usually just a mask for a deep, unspoken longing for something we feel we can't have. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds a little cynical, right? But the purpose of this wisdom, the whole point of it, isn't to judge people or to get one over on them. It's actually the exact opposite. It's to build a really profound sense of empathy. This is the real gift. When you can actually see the fear hiding behind someone's anger or the pain behind their cruelty, you just stop taking it so personally. It doesn't hurt as much. You become kinder, more forgiving, because you understand that pretty much everyone is just struggling to survive in the only way they know how. So, It becomes this really practical path. First, you just learn to see the mask. Then, you try to understand the pain that's behind it. And from that understanding, you can choose compassion instead of judgment. And then, maybe, just maybe, when you stop judging everyone else for their masks, you'll finally feel safe enough to take off your own.
And that's really what this all leads to. The goal isn't to become some kind of human lie detector. It's to see people not as opponents to figure out, but as fellow humans to understand. The real wisdom is in the compassion this knowledge gives us.
This has been an explainer from Mindscope Philosophy. If any of this opened your eyes to the masks we all wear, including your own, go ahead and subscribe for more insights that help you see yourself and others just a little more clearly. Thanks for watching.